Hey everyone. Welcome back to Revenge Tell Us, where we bring you real stories of people who were betrayed and left with nothing, only to rise up and make their enemies regret everything. This is your dose of justice, karma, and the sweetest comebacks. If you're new here, subscribe because you don't want to miss what happens next. Let's jump into today's story. The Instagram story showed up at 9:35 p.m. on a Friday night. My fiancée Stephanie laughing in a dimly lit bar, leaning against a man I'd never seen before. His arm was around her waist. Her hand was on his chest. The caption read, "Finally living my truth." I was sitting on our couch, engagement ring box open on the coffee table, practicing what I was going to say when I proposed to her for the second time. We'd been engaged for 3 years, and I'd recently bought her a bigger diamond because she'd mentioned wanting an upgrade. The new ring had cost me $8,000. I'd been planning to surprise her with it tonight. Instead, I was staring at proof that the woman I was about to spend my life with was out with another man, posting about it publicly while I sat home like an idiot. My name is Garrett Hayes. I'm 31 years old and I work as a project manager for a construction company. I met Stephanie Collins 4 years ago at a friend's wedding. She was the bride's cousin. I was the groom's college roommate, and we spent the whole reception talking and laughing like we'd known each other forever. 6 months later, I proposed. She said yes. We started planning a wedding for the following year. Then Stephanie's career took off. She got promoted to senior account executive at her advertising firm, started traveling constantly, started making more money than me. The wedding got postponed once, then twice, then indefinitely. "We'll get married when things calm down," she'd say, "when I'm not so busy with work." I believed her because I loved her, because I trusted her, because I was an idiot. Now, looking at that Instagram story, I realized I'd been making excuses for her for 3 years. All the late nights at the office, all the weekend business trips, all the times she'd pulled away when I tried to touch her, saying she was too stressed from work. I picked up my phone and called her, straight to voicemail. I called again, same thing. I opened Instagram and watched the story again. The timestamp showed it had been posted 11 minutes ago. I clicked on the location tag. Hendrick's Bar and Grill, downtown, 20 minutes from our apartment. I made a decision. I took both rings, the original engagement ring and the new upgrade, and put them in my pocket. I grabbed my keys and drove to Hendrick's. The place was packed for a Friday night. I spotted Stephanie immediately at a corner table. She was wearing the black dress I'd bought her for her birthday, the one she said was too fancy for everyday wear. The man next to her had his hand on her thigh under the table. They were both laughing, completely absorbed in each other, not watching the door. I walked straight to their table. "Garrett." Stephanie's face went from happiness to shock to something like anger. "What are you doing here?" "Could ask you the same thing," I said calmly. Too calmly. The kind of calm that comes right before an explosion. The man looked between us, confused. "Who's this?" "Her fiancé," I said, extending my hand. "Garrett Hayes. And you are?" He didn't take my hand. "Trevor Nash. I'm Stephanie's boyfriend." The word hung in the air like smoke from a fire. "Boyfriend," I repeated. "Interesting. Because I'm her fiancé. Have been for 3 years. Trevor's face changed. He looked at Stephanie with disgust. "You said you broke up with him months ago. You said you were single." "We did break up," Stephanie said quickly. "We're just not officially done yet. It's complicated." "No, it's not," I said. I pulled out the ring boxes and set them on the table between us. "Here, both rings. The one I gave you 3 years ago, and the upgrade I was going to surprise you with tonight. They're yours. Consider them a parting gift." Stephanie stared at the boxes like they were bombs. "Garrett, don't do this here. Can we please talk about this privately?" "Why? You didn't have a problem posting your date on Instagram for everyone to see. Why should I be discreet about ending our engagement?" Trevor was standing now, backing away from the table. "This is insane. Stephanie, you told me you were available. You lied to me." "Trevor, wait." Stephanie reached for him, but he was already walking away. She turned back to me, tears forming. "Garrett, you're embarrassing me. Everyone's staring." "Good. They should see who you really are." I picked up one of the ring boxes and opened it. The new diamond caught the bar lights, throwing rainbow reflections across the table. $8,000. For someone who was already cheating on me. I'm sure Trevor will appreciate knowing what kind of person he was dating. "It's not like that," Stephanie hissed, looking around at the other patrons who were definitely watching now. "We were having problems. You know we've been distant." "We were distant because you were busy sleeping with Trevor. When did it start?" She didn't answer. When, Stephanie? 6 months ago, she whispered. We met at a work conference. 6 months. Half a year of lying to my face. Half a year of me thinking we were going through a rough patch when really she was building a whole other relationship. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I'm leaving these rings here. They're yours. Sell them, keep them, give them to your next victim. I don't care, but I'm done. Garrett, please, can we go home and talk about this? Home? You mean the apartment I've been paying for while you spend your money on dates with Trevor? Her face flushed. Yeah, I thought about that during the drive over. Your salary is higher than mine, but somehow I'm covering rent, utilities, groceries. Where's your money going, Stephanie? She didn't answer. Doesn't matter. I'm moving my stuff out this weekend. You can have the apartment. The lease is in both our names, so figure it out or don't. Not my problem anymore. I turned and walked out of Hendricks, leaving Stephanie sitting there with 2 engagement rings and a bar full of witnesses to her deception. If you're hooked on this story of standing up to betrayal, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below about what you would have done in this situation. And smash that like button so more people can find these real stories about finding your strength when everything falls apart. What happens next will absolutely shock you. The drive home was strange. I expected to feel angry, heartbroken, devastated. Instead, I felt light, like someone had lifted a weight off my shoulders that I'd been carrying for so long I'd forgotten it was there. Back at the apartment, I started packing. My clothes, my electronics, my books. Everything that was mine went into boxes and bags. I worked methodically, room by room, separating my life from Stephanie's. Around midnight, I heard her key in the door. She walked in and stopped when she saw the boxes. Garrett, we need to talk. Nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. You're not even going to let me explain? I stopped packing and looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful, successful, intelligent, and none of it mattered because she was also dishonest, selfish, and cruel. Okay, explain. Stephanie sat on the couch, the same couch where I'd been sitting earlier, planning my surprise proposal. Things changed between us. You didn't notice, but they did. You were always working, always focused on your job. I felt neglected. So you cheated. I found someone who paid attention to me, who made me feel special. I bought you an $8,000 ring to make you feel special, Stephanie. I planned surprises. I tried to make time for dates even when you said you were too busy. What more did you want? I wanted you to fight for me, to notice I was pulling away and do something about it. I did notice. Every time I tried to talk to you about it, you said you were stressed from work. You said you needed space, so I gave you space. How was I supposed to know you were using that space to cheat? Stephanie started crying. I made a mistake. Trevor doesn't mean anything. I was just confused. You dated him for 6 months. That's not confusion. That's a relationship. But I never stopped loving you. You stopped respecting me. That's worse. I went back to packing. Stephanie watched me for a few minutes, then stood up. Where are you going to go? My brother's place. He has a spare room. For how long? Until I find my own apartment. Shouldn't take more than a month. And then what? Then nothing. We're done, Stephanie. We've been done for months. I just didn't know it until tonight. She was silent for a long time. Then she said something that made my blood boil. You're going to regret this. Throwing away 4 years over one mistake. I stopped packing and turned to face her. It wasn't one mistake. It was hundreds of little choices you made. Every single day for 6 months. Every time you chose to text Trevor instead of talking to me. Every time you chose to meet him instead of coming home. Every time you chose to lie to me about where you were and who you were with. Those were all choices, Stephanie, and I'm choosing not to accept them anymore. By 2 a.m., I had everything packed. I loaded my car in 3 trips. Stephanie sat on the couch the whole time, crying, occasionally trying to convince me to stay. Garrett, please, don't leave like this. We can work on it. We can go to counseling. You should have thought about counseling 6 months ago. I'll cut off contact with Trevor. I'll do whatever it takes. It's too late. It's never too late if we really love each other. I looked at her one last time. I did really love you, Stephanie. Past tense. That ended the moment you chose someone else over me. I walked out and didn't look back. My brother Austin lived in a condo across town. when I showed up at 3 a.m. With my car full of boxes, he took one look at my face and helped me unload without asking questions. "Want to talk about it?" he asked after we'd moved everything into his spare room. Stephanie was cheating. Found out tonight. Left her with both engagement rings at the bar where she was with her boyfriend. Austin whistled. "Damn. You okay?" "Surprisingly, yes." "Need a beer?" "Need sleep, but I'll take the beer anyway." We sat in his kitchen drinking beer and not talking much. Sometimes silence is better than words. The next morning I woke up to 47 text messages from Stephanie. They started apologetic, turned angry, ended desperate. I deleted them all without reading past the first few. I also had messages from mutual friends. Most supportive, some confused, a few accusing me of overreacting. One message stood out. It was from Stephanie's sister, Claire. "Garrett, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was seeing someone else. Mom and I are furious with her. You deserved better than how she treated you. If you need anything, let me know." I appreciated that more than she could know. Monday morning, I went to work like normal. Focused on my projects, had meetings, acted like my life hadn't imploded over the weekend. My boss noticed something was off and pulled me aside. "Hayes, you good? You seem distracted." "Personal stuff. I'll handle it." "Anything I can help with?" "Unless you can make my ex-fiancé uncheat on me, probably not." My boss winced. "Damn, sorry man. Take a few days if you need them." "I'm better off working. Keeps my mind busy." That turned out to be true. Throwing myself into work meant less time thinking about Stephanie and Trevor, and the 3 years I'd wasted planning a future that was never going to happen. 2 weeks after the breakup, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Garrett, it's Trevor." I almost hung up. "What do you want?" "I wanted to apologize and warn you." "Warn me? About what?" "Stephanie's been calling me non-stop, showing up at my apartment. She says she made a mistake choosing me over you and wants to try again. So tell her no and block her number." I did, multiple times. She keeps making new accounts to contact me. It's getting scary, honestly. I thought you should know in case she does the same to you. She's been texting, but I've been deleting them without reading. Good. Keep doing that. She's not stable, man. I'm thinking about getting a restraining order. That bad? She threw a rock through my window last night because I wouldn't answer the door. I had to sit down. That doesn't sound like Stephanie. People show you who they really are when they don't get what they want. Be careful, Garrett. He hung up, and I sat there processing what he'd said. The Stephanie I knew was manipulative, dishonest, selfish. But violent? That was new. I called Austin. "Hey, can you come over here? I need to talk to you about something." He showed up 20 minutes later. I filled him in on Trevor's call. "You need to protect yourself," Austin said immediately. "Change your locks if she has a key to your place." "Oh wait, you're here. Good. But you should still document everything. Save all her messages. If she shows up here, call the police." "You think she'd actually do something?" "I think people do crazy things when they're desperate. Better safe than sorry." Austin was right. That night, Stephanie showed up at his condo. She somehow found the address and rang the doorbell at 11 p.m. Austin answered. "Stephanie, you need to leave." "I need to talk to Garrett." "He doesn't want to talk to you." "Please, just 5 minutes." I came to the door. "Stephanie, go home." She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was a mess, her makeup smeared from crying. "Garrett, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made a horrible mistake. Please, can we just talk?" "There's nothing to say." "I'll do anything. Go to therapy, quit my job, move to a different city, whatever you want. I want you to leave me alone." "But we were going to get married. We had plans. We had a future together." "You destroyed that future when you cheated. It's gone, Stephanie. Accept it and move on." "I can't move on. I love you." "You loved the idea of me. The security, the stability, the backup plan. But you didn't love me enough to be faithful. So no, I don't believe you love me now." She started crying harder. "Please don't do this. Please don't throw away everything we had." "You already threw it away. I'm just acknowledging reality." Austin stepped forward. "Stephanie, I'm going to ask you one more time to leave. If you don't, I'm calling the police." She looked at both of us, mascara running down her face, and finally turned away. We watched her walk to her car and drive off. That was intense, Austin said. Yeah. You okay? I will be. But I wasn't okay. Not yet. Because 3 days later, Stephanie showed up at my work. She walked right into the office building, past security who didn't know she wasn't allowed to be there, and found my desk. Garrett, we need to talk. Everyone in the office turned to look. My coworkers, my boss, the receptionist, all staring at this scene playing out in the middle of the workday. Stephanie, you can't be here. This is my workplace. I don't care. You won't talk to me anywhere else. My boss appeared. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disrupting our business. I'm not leaving until Garrett agrees to have coffee with me. Just coffee. 30 minutes to talk. I'm not having coffee with you, I said firmly. We're done. Accept it. I made one mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You made hundreds of mistakes over 6 months. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. Security finally arrived and escorted her out. She was screaming the whole way, saying I was ruining her life, that I was being cruel, that she deserved another chance. My boss pulled me into his office. Hayes, I'm going to need you to file for a restraining order. I can't have that kind of chaos in the office. I understand. I'll take care of it today. Is there anything else I should know? Any safety concerns? She's desperate, not dangerous, but I'll handle it. That afternoon, I went to the courthouse and filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it immediately based on her workplace disruption and Trevor's report about the rock through his window. 2 days later, Stephanie was served with the order. She had to stay at least 500 feet away from me, my workplace, and Austin's condo. She violated it once, showing up at Austin's building and banging on the door. The police arrested her. She spent a night in jail before her parents bailed her out. After that, the contact stopped. No more texts, no more calls, no more surprise visits. A month after the breakup, her sister Claire reached out. Again. Garrett, I wanted you to know that Mom and Dad convinced Stephanie to go into therapy. She's been diagnosed with something called abandonment anxiety. Apparently, the breakup triggered something severe. She's getting help now. I'm glad she's getting help, I said honestly. But that doesn't change what she did. I know, and I'm not asking you to forgive her or take her back. I just wanted you to know she's not the person she was being. The Stephanie who threw rocks and showed up at your work, that wasn't her. That was someone having a breakdown. People show their true colors under stress, Claire. Maybe, but I also think people deserve help when they're breaking, even when they've hurt others. I thought about that after we hung up, about whether someone deserved compassion even when they'd been cruel. I decided the answer was yes, but that didn't mean I had to be the one providing it. 3 months after leaving those rings on the table at Hendrix, I was mostly okay. Some days were harder than others. I'd see something that reminded me of Stephanie or a place we'd gone together, and I'd feel a pang of loss. But mostly I felt free. I'd found my own apartment, a 1-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. I'd started going to the gym regularly, had lost 15 pounds, felt stronger than I had in years. I'd also started dating again. Nothing serious, just casual coffee dates with women I met through apps or friends. It felt good to be around people who were honest about what they wanted. One of those dates turned into something more. Her name was Isabel, and she was a teacher at an elementary school. She had a laugh that filled rooms and a directness I appreciated after years of Stephanie's manipulation. So what happened with your ex? Isabel asked on our 3rd date. She cheated. I found out, ended it, she had a breakdown. That's the summary. That must have been hard. It was, but it also showed me what I don't want in a relationship. What's that? Someone who sees me as an option instead of a priority. Isabel nodded. I can respect that. For what it's worth, I don't date casually. If I'm seeing someone, I'm all in. Good to know. 6 months after the breakup, I ran into Stephanie at a coffee shop. She looked better, healthier, calmer. Garrett, she said quietly, I'm not going to bother you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Are you happy? She asked. Getting there. You? Same. Therapy helps. I'm glad. We stood there for an awkward moment. Then she picked up her coffee and left. That night, I told Isabel about running into Stephanie. How did that feel? She asked. Fine. Like seeing an old acquaintance. Not someone who used to be my whole world. That's growth. Yeah, I think it is. A year after leaving those rings on that table, I proposed to Isabel. Not with an expensive diamond or a grand gesture. Just a simple ring and an honest question. Will you marry me? She said yes. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, immediate family only. No drama, no postponements, no doubts. At the reception, Austin gave a toast. A year and a half ago, my brother showed up at my place at 3 a.m. with his car full of everything he owned. He'd just ended an engagement, walked away from someone he'd loved for years. I asked him if he was okay, and you know what he said? Surprisingly, yes. That's when I knew he was going to be fine, because he chose himself, and sometimes that's the bravest thing you can do. Here's to Garrett and Isabel, who both know their worth. Everyone raised their glasses, and I caught Isabel's eye across the table. She smiled at me with complete trust, complete honesty, complete commitment. That night, lying in bed in our hotel room, Isabel asked me if I ever thought about Stephanie. Sometimes, I admitted, but not the way you think. I think about her as a lesson, learned, as proof that walking away from wrong is just as important as fighting for right. Do you regret the years you spent with her? No, because those years taught me what I needed. They taught me that love without respect is just attachment, that promises without action are just words, that I deserve someone who chooses me every day, not just when it's convenient. I choose you every day, Isabel said. I know. That's why I married you. Looking back now, I realize that walking into Hendrix and leaving those rings was the best decision I ever made. Not because it felt good in the moment, but because it set me free. Free from lying, from pretending, from accepting less than I deserved. Stephanie taught me what I didn't want. Isabel showed me what I did want. And the difference between those two experiences has made all the difference. If you've made it to the end of this story, thank you for watching. If you've ever had to walk away from someone who didn't value you, drop a comment and share what you learned. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about finding yourself after betrayal. And don't forget to like this video. Remember, you teach people how to treat you by what you accept. Never accept betrayal. Never accept dishonesty. Never accept being someone's option. You deserve better. And better is out there waiting for you. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You're worth fighting for. And that's how karma delivered justice. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear that comebacks are real. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done in this situation, or share your own revenge story. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because we post new revenge stories every week. And trust me, the next one is even more unbelievable. Remember, the best revenge is massive success. Until next time, this is Revenge Tales, where justice always wins.